go right to basketball. We'll bring on Keith Pompey. Keith, that is all about the fact that last week, mid-interview with a NFL Hall of Famer, I managed to turn off my whole equipment and disappear from the show for a little bit. So it got better with it, just Jeff doing it. So how you doing, man?
Hey, I'm doing well, man. I feel sorry for you.
Let me tell you something. I had like a nervous breakdown, panic attack when everything went off. I'm like texting the station and calling over. I called into the phone line as a guest so I could do the rest of the show. Jeff did the interview with Connor Johnson because he was afraid that I was going to step all over him. Yeah, it was good stuff. Great radio, man.
So Keith, I'll be unplugging him. Just send me a text if you get uncomfortable with any question that Jason asks, and I'll just unplug him.
I'll unplug my cord. I'll go right away.
Yeah. So where are you right now?
I'm in Phoenix now.
Oh, you're already in Phoenix after Portland last night. Okay.
No snow out there, I bet, huh?
Nah, it was crazy. My flight was they only had one. Well, they had two flights, but mine was 6:00 this morning. So I've been here for a good bit.
Yeah, we're all gonna feel real sorry for you that you're getting a day in Phoenix while I was out shoveling snow yesterday. Let me tell you, man.
So can you tell us what happened last night?
What
happened at the end of that game?
Yeah, I know. They looked like the Sixers from of old, didn't they? I mean, it's like, Tobias commits the foul, and then Ben turns the ball over, and they both led to foul shots by Carmelo Anthony and Dame Lillard. But yeah, they just it seemed like, if you think about this, think about how if you can have Dame Lillard in the last three quarters shoot a combined 2 for 14, and you still lose the game. That has to hurt. And the thing about it is, that in an NBA season, teams are going to slip up and lose games. And this was just happened to be one of them. But Carmelo Anthony looked like Carmelo Anthony from 6 years ago in that fourth quarter. He was lighting them up. But when you look at it, you look at the game film, you see some of the mistakes that you made. You see how you came out flat early on in that game. They did come back, but at the same time, sometimes you just have a bad game on the road, and a game, well, I shouldn't say a bad game, but a game that you can still on the road. You have so many opportunities, and that was one of them, and they just couldn't get it done.
You talk about the struggles of Lillard and everybody was shooting. That wasn't the case in the first quarter. They were shooting the lights out from anywhere on the court when they were putting it up. Then you get to the fourth quarter. That may have been Carmelo Anthony's best quarter of the season that he played against the Sixers. They are still 18-8 in first place. What's your feel of this team right now? It's a question I ask everybody because I'm not sure, even with an 18-8 record in first place, that people feel like this is always a first place team. Where are you on this right now?
I'm with you. The thing about this Sixers squad is this road trip is really going to tell us a lot, like when they get back. If they can win the next two games, and you say, okay, well, maybe this team is quite there. The problem with the 76ers is that, when you look at it, they've only defeated, I believe, 3 or 4 teams with a winning record as of today, right? And you look at and their strength of schedule, as of yesterday, it was the second easiest schedule in the league. And you look at the teams that are right behind them, their schedules are much tougher. Now, Milwaukee's isn't tough. But the rest of them, they're playing tougher schedules. And it's all going to balance out at one point. And the Sixers are, they're taking advantage of their record. But right now, I honestly think that they're going to fall back to the pack unless, they make some trades, unless they do some other things. Because I just look at it like, right now, when you say that the Sixers are 13-1 or 14-1 with their starters, well, that's not telling me a lot, because the thing is, like, you look at it, what happens when one of the guys don't play, and then they lose? So
that's not a pretty game when one of these guys don't play, Keith. We've seen that.
Yeah, exactly, and that's the problem. So, I have to say that, I'm looking at, I'm not saying it's fool's gold. I'm saying they're beating the teams that they're supposed to beat, but at the same time, it's going to get tougher for them. And while these other teams are going to play some of these easy teams that they're playing, and it's all going to balance out. And I think the Sixers are going to, slide down the standings.
Well, Keith, now we have, a couple dozen games almost under the belt. You've now seen the two guys that they brought in. Are they as good as they should be? And are they the answer?
Here's the thing. Like, it depends on what you want. Like Seth Curry, Seth Curry is the first-time starter. When you have a guy like Seth Curry, you're not saying, okay, end of the game, I'm drawing up plays for Seth Curry. But, and before he was hurt, he did provide, or before he had COVID, he did provide a lot of spacing for the Sixers. I mean, he was shooting 50-something% from three. That's amazing, right?
Better than his brother.
Better than his brother, I know, right? But then you look at Danny Green and you say to yourself, there are some people saying, hey, why is he starting? He's inconsistent. He's this, he's that. Well, it just seems like he's a better fit in the starting lineup than Shake Milton, who would be the guy, or Maxey, or Matisse Thybulle, Tyrese Maxey and Matisse Thybulle. So, again, they're not meant to be, guys who are going to come in and be like Jimmy Butler, so to speak, or a J.J. Redick, so to speak, when he was in his prime. But with Seth is he's a guy who can create space. And let's look at Danny Green, like big picture. Danny Green, they got Danny Green, who's on the expiring contract, and they got rid of Al Horford's contract. So, I expect him to be a guy who's here for a year. They probably most likely won't bring him back, and then they'll have that cap space money,
Yeah, but we have this year, and we have a team that's at the top of the standings. So for some people, they don't want to say, yeah, that's great for next year. It is. It's great that they're able to look in the future. But what do you do about this year? And so then the question becomes do you have a good enough bench? And are there guys that are actually trade chips? And what I'm thinking about, if you're reading my mind, is Matisse Thybulle. Because he seems to be a guy who is still creating defense. But he'll be out there, and it's frustrating to me, he'll be out there for 20 minutes a game and not take a single shot.
Yeah, I mean, here's my thing. It depends on who you're trying to get for Matisse Thybulle. I mean, it honestly does, because when you look at Matisse Thybulle, I mean, it's great that you brought him up, right? So, Ben Simmons right now is leading the NBA in deflections. Matisse Thybulle is leading the NBA in deflection per 36 minutes. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't play a lot, but he's effective. So my thing is, like, yeah, if you want to bring him, if you want to, like, play him, if you want to trade him, then you just have to make sure who you're going to get. Because I think the thing with Matisse is Matisse needs a summer where he can just get in the gym and then just hit a lot of threes. Just make it like, you know what I mean? Just like go out there from hours. Just go out there and just chuck them, hit them. And this year is hard. Like, some people would say, well, we got to give up on them right now. But it's hard to me to say that when you're coming off a pandemic where guys weren't able to get in the gym and do the things that they were, that they typically are. I mean, I really like Matisse. And in order for you to get rid of Matisse, I mean, if you have to package him in a deal, it better be in a deal to bring in somebody that's really going to elevate you to a championship. Because, I'm here to tell you, like, when they played Sacramento, De'Aaron Fox was, like, giving Ben Simmons the business, so to speak, and Matisse Thybulle is the one who shut him down. So you got to be careful, because I don't see anybody else on that roster who can make stops consistently outside of Ben Simmons.
So we talk about the roster. Joel has obviously been dominant. It's kind of expected he's going to put up 30 points and really make his mark on the game. Ben has been more aggressive since the Harden trade right after. It's still, you see what you get. Tobias is the team's second leading scorer. He's putting up career highs in field goal percentage and 3-point shots. This is what we talked about a lot before the Harden trade of if you get a James Harden, there's no question of who takes the last shot. Who takes the last shot on the Sixers right now? It was Tobias Harris recently, but the play was designed for Steph Curry. Who takes the last shot?
Wow, the last shot in the game would have to be it's Tobias. It has to be Tobias. It has to be. just because, Joel Embiid, everything has to go right. I keep saying that over and over again. Whereas you can give Tobias the ball like high on a pick and roll, him coming off a curve or something like that, coming off a screen. So I think that it has to be for Tobias. But, ideally, like you said, they may have to go out there and get an elite perimeter player to do that, because even with Tobias, the pass has to be right, which it wasn't last night at the end of the game. You know what I mean? So even for Tobias, it's like everything has to go right in order for him to get the ball as well, too.
Well, Keith, Jason wants to talk about who on the Sixers gets the ball at the end of the game. The Sixers are about to face Phoenix. Last night, Devin Booker said that he was very comfortable with Giannis taking the last shot in the game. What is going on there?
He was, he said he was very comfortable with Giannis taking the
you didn't even say, yeah.
Okay. So enlighten me.
You're going to have to get Keith up on the news. Enlighten him, Jeff.
Yeah. Giannis missed a game-winning shot at the end of that game against Phoenix. They asked Devin after the game, what do you thought about Giannis having the last shot? And he said he was very comfortable with it. So I don't know what's going on there, but you got to get to the bottom of what's going on with Devin Booker. And apparently there will not be a trade of Booker to Milwaukee.
I mean, wouldn't you? I mean, like, hey, see, that's the thing. I like that because he's telling it like it is. Like, Giannis is known for, he has, like, him and Ben Simmons are similar. Like, they're not really good shooters. Now Giannis will attempt the shot, but it doesn't mean he'll make the shot. And so I think it's a great quote now that I hear it. You know what I mean? I mean, hey, he took it, he lost. I mean, think about it. Giannis had a chance to win the game at the foul line earlier this year against the Boston Celtics, and he missed both of them.
All right, so tomorrow we all get to see Devin Booker in action. What can we expect of the Sixers playing Phoenix?
Well, I think we're going to expect the thing that we normally see when we see a lot of elite guards. People forget Devin Booker normally torches the Sixers. And now that before it was just Devin Booker and a bunch of dudes, right? So now he has Chris Paul as his backcourt mate, who's a heady point guard and is going to get him the ball in the right spots. I mean, I think it's going to be a tough game for the Sixers, I do. And I think Devin Booker's going to score a lot of points. I mean, think about it. Dame Lillard had 30, and he had a bad game after the first quarter, right? De'Aaron Fox had 35, I believe it was, and he, struggled in the fourth quarter. Bradley Beal had 60. Terry Rozier had 35. Brooklyn, Joe Harris, who's not known for scoring a bunch of points, had 29 points against the Sixers. I mean, Devin Booker is due to have a big game. I mean, I expect him to have at least in the 30s.
Seems like anybody who plays the Sixers is due to have a big game. I got a question for you about the All-Star game. Are they really going to play this game? You got LeBron and Giannis saying that they're frustrated, other players complaining. I keep asking Jeff if it's the best idea to put everybody in a city where everybody goes and gets wings every time I hear about it.
Lemon pepper wings.
Are they really going to go forward with this All-Star game? And is that a good idea?
I mean, yeah, it seems like they are. I don't think so. Let's keep it real. What it is they're trying to get a moneymaker. It's going to be a moneymaker for, people are going to tune in. Now, I think where LeBron and them messed up at, LeBron didn't say, oh, I'm not going to be there. He said, well, if I'm there, he says, I'm going to be there physically, but my heart will not be there, something like that. I'm paraphrasing, right? So the fact of the matter is that the fact that he's going is kind of bad. Now, if LeBron will say, you know what, I'm not coming. I'm not going to participate in it. And then I think another guys would probably follow suit. But once he says he's going, then I think they're still going to have that All-Star game.
We have three potential All-Stars. Have any of them expressed whether or not they would go or whether they're dismayed by this whole idea?
Joel said Joel said I probably won't go. Like he says, I don't
Good.
know if I'm gonna do it. Yeah, he said that because I mean you got to realize he didn't make it seem he didn't come out with a definite. He was like, I'm not sure. Like I'm not sure if I'll go. Like one of those, which means like there's some doubt. And the thing about Joel is, Joel's a guy who, he has a newborn. His girlfriend. It's one of those things where, he just, he wants to be safe and he wants to be around them. I mean, he doesn't even like sit on the bench anymore. He sits over behind a basket.
Well,
So
and he already had that scare this year with Seth getting it. So I mean, it's not like it hasn't come close to him at this point.
Exactly. So he doesn't want to do it. And plus, not only that, let's face it, like. These guys, when they go on the road, they want them to quarantine in the hotel. I mean, it's not going to be like a normal All-Star. Like, you go down to the All-Star game, like, yeah, everyone watches the game. The game is the grand finale, but it's more or less mingling, partying, doing whatever you can, making contact. It's like the All-Star game is an event. An All-Star weekend is an event that's capped off with the game. Now it's like all you're going to do is go down there and play a game and sit in the hotel for 2 days. So I don't think Joel wants to do that.
And if I'm the NBA, I do everything in my power to make sure Lou Williams does not make that game.
Hey, you know what? If I'm the NBA, I want Lou Williams to make that game because at least you'll have the club that he went to probably a sponsor. And we'll have commercials on lemon pepper Lou wings.
All about the ad revenue, Keith.
Look, if you're not, and I'd be shocked if you're not, if you're a Sixers fan or an NBA fan, make sure that you catch Keith's articles on the Philadelphia Inquirer on PhiladelphiaInquirer.com, and also do not miss his Pompey on Sixers podcast. Keith, thanks for joining us, and try not to enjoy the 80-degree weather too much.
Yeah, man. Hey, with this COVID, I just stay in my room. I look out the window and wave at people. Hey, how you doing down there?
It looks pretty. That's all that matters.
It'll look much better than when you go to Utah.
Yeah, a little slightly different. All right.
Take care, Keith.
All right, bye.